McDonald's are a major multinational corporation, employ hundreds of thousands of staff across the world on the same model, which is low wages, high turnover of staff and youngsters. And that's the business model for corporate executives who earn £12 million a year, as a chief executive does. And I think, frankly, not just in Britain, but mostly everywhere where McDonald's is organising to be found, there's a growing revulsion about that business model.
Some critics of these strikes have suggested that these are low-paid jobs for a reason, that no one ought to see them as anything other than a stopgap for young people, particularly. Do you think there's any truth to that sentiment?
None whatsoever, I'm afraid. I'm sorry to tell you that you've now got graduates working at McDonald's after 4 years at a Scottish university. The best job they can get is a 0-hour contract, frying burgers, and presumably after you've fried one burger, that's the extent of your training, and on wages that our grandparents' generation would frankly be afforded. So the reality is that these are jobs, by the way, McDonald's are only typical at that point. You can find it in the same coffee chains and supermarkets. It's now endemic that this is a business model for corporations that I think is acceptable, and they're effectively saying that these companies are based on slave wages. Slave wages apparently is okay. Well, they're not okay. And I know staff at McDonald's have been there 6, 7, 8 years and they're still there. So it's not true to say, well, you work there for 5 minutes until something better comes along. Unfortunately, these types of jobs are fairly typical of the high street right across Scotland.
Now, lastly, just as I mentioned before, McDonald's doesn't recognise unions, so the staff involved in these strikes are presumably taking quite a risk with their own, albeit limited, contracts. What protections are there for strikers like these where the employer simply doesn't acknowledge the unions? Yeah,
well, the first thing to say, I think it's disgraceful that McDonald's are an anti-union company, as are Asda and others that are well known in the high street. So they're anti-union, and these staff are putting their precarious jobs greater risk by taking any kind of action to defend themselves. It's all credit to the Bakers Union, because the Baker Food and Allied Workers Union have taken these staff under their wing and are giving them advice about the employment legislation and the best way to advance their case. So the trade union movement in Britain is involved, as indeed it is in America, with the SEIU. And I think the fact that they're fighting effectively two causes at the same time. One is for union protection, and the other is for paying conditions.
And do you think they'll see any progress on this then?
I think they will. I mean, I realise there's only 40 staff at McDonald's yesterday were on strike out of a workforce the world over of something like 130,000, so it's a small handful, right? But my feeling, and mostly industrial disputes these days are fought on a public relations basis, so McDonald's will be absolutely furious about the attention the media has given to the fact that their paying conditions are so poor and that their staff, and this kind of Ronald McDonald Happy Meal sentiment that's out there that you should only think well of these corporations. Well, clearly lots and lots of people don't think well of McDonald's for the practices they employ, and that will do them damage, and it will force them to negotiate, and hopefully it will lead as soon as possible to a better set of paying conditions for all these young men and women who, goodness knows, deserve it.